It's another wrap-up show with John Schaefer and Jim Russell, and it's presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you have not subscribed to this page, the reason to do it right now is if you're looking for year-round Padres content, you see Jim, hit that button down below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, and follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Before we tell you what Keith Law had to say about MacKenzie Gore, and it's very encouraging, we want to tell you about our buddy Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. And if you're shopping for auto, home, renters, or life insurance in San Diego, there's only one guy to turn to, and that's a San Diegan, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. He's got a decade of experience helping people like us find the perfect insurance products. What separates Mark from the competition is customer service and communication, and you can click that link down below in the description. You'll get to Mark's website. You can look him up and let him help you and your family with your insurance needs.
And if you have any questions, if you're wondering, well, how can I reach out to him? All his information is above my head right here. His phone number and his email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. If you have any questions about your insurance needs, reach out to him. He'll help you. mnimitz@farmersagent.com.
All right, we've been waiting a very long time for encouraging news on MacKenzie Gore. At one point, the top left-handed pitching prospect in all of baseball. But obviously, there have been setbacks throughout the pandemic season of 2020 and even in 2021 as well. But there is at least a glimmer of hope, and it comes from Keith Law of The Athletic. On with Darren Smith earlier this week on Extra 1360. Let's hear from Keith Law. What did he think of seeing MacKenzie Gore firsthand in the Arizona Fall League?
Look, I wrote something for The Athletic. People who subscribe have probably already seen what I wrote last week. But if you just walked into the park and saw Gore and watched his outing and had no idea what had happened previously this season, you'd say, what's the problem? This is the best left-handed pitching prospect in baseball, right? Maybe the best pitching prospect in baseball. He looked great. His delivery was very good. They have changed it. They have shortened his arm stroke, so he's not getting caught in back like he used to. He was kind of plunging in back and having a hard time getting his arm out front on time. I think that was leading to a lot of the control trouble. That was absent. Velocity was good. Changeup was plus again. Slider was good. I thought the curveball backed up a little bit. It used to be a no doubt plus pitch. This was more like an above average pitch for him. Maybe that's a one-time thing. Maybe that'll come back with more experience with the new delivery. But the best thing is he threw strikes. He pitched at Salt River Fields where they're using the automated strike zone, which is very tight. And he was hitting the corners with his fastball. Now, that alone, now if you do know what happened to him this year, the fact that he was up to 98 and still hitting his spots is the best possible news. I don't want to say that we're over it, but there's nothing to worry about. But this is a hell of an improvement from where he was 2 months ago.
Man, just hearing that, Jim. I mean, just hearing it, and
Man.
it's no guarantee that he's turned the corner. I know he spoke with Kevin Acee this past week, and we get into that as well. MacKenzie Gore did, but just hearing that from where he was to potentially where he is, at the very least, has to be encouraging.
This could be, I'm not a game changer for the Padres next year, but the boost that they could get if you have what Keith Law is describing for the season, a MacKenzie Gore that locates his fastball, looks like the top left-handed pitching prospect in all of baseball, with the amount of restraints that AJ Preller has to build this roster because of the money that he doesn't have to use and spend. You bring up a guy from within that could be slotted into that rotation, give you 20 to 25 starts next year. That is right now some of the best news you could hear as a Padres fan, that MacKenzie Gore looks great. And coming from Keith Law, it means something. Like the substance from Keith Law, when he says a guy looks great, I take his words, his value at like very high. When Keith Law says a guy looks great, when Keith Law says a guy looks like the top left-handed pitching prospect in baseball, hell, maybe even the top pitching prospect in all of baseball, that has to be a huge boost and, make all Padres fans super excited.
Super excited. I mean, MacKenzie Gore got out of whack with his delivery. There's no question about that. He documented it to Kevin Acee this week. And by the way, MacKenzie Gore, in his own words, said he isn't fully back. He believes he is on the path to being fully back, and he can't pinpoint the exact moment or when it happened. Because you think about 2019, Jim, there wasn't a better pitcher in baseball. You don't pitch in the Cal League and have a 1 ERA, right? You don't combine to pitch between single A and double A and have a 1.69 ERA. He was something like 12 strikeouts per every 9 innings as a lefty. He was throwing 98 from the left side. He's throwing that dominant curveball. He's super athletic. Everything was coming super easy, maybe other than some blister issues his first couple of years in the minor leagues. And then you had 2020, and I understand 2020, young guy, never had a chance to pitch in the minor leagues. It was weird for all of us. I mean, the year was awful for a lot of people, and some people didn't deal with it professionally. So I completely understand it. And then 2021 was just a continuation of a bad 2020. And it got to the point where he had to go to Arizona to get right. And I think to some extent it's probably helped him. And now, will we know if he's fully back this fall? I don't think we will, no matter what he does in the fall league. We're going to need to see it in spring training. And we're past the point of him being a prospect, and we're talking about his potential. He's got to prove it on the mound. And 2022 has to be the year. Like you said, if it's 20 or 25 starts, terrific. I mean, shoot, I'd probably sign up for half that. If he gets up in June and makes 12 starts for you and has a 3.3 ERA for the Padres and works, 5 or 6 innings every single time he's on the mound, I think AJ Preller and his front office would probably take that. But from where it was, I mean, it was a big question mark. Like, should you deal this guy? What's his value? Is he ever going to pitch in the big leagues for you? From that to this, and from him talking to Kevin Acee and recognizing that he had an issue and he's dealing with the mechanics and the delivery and he feels like he's working his way back, I just feel like there's been a lot of encouragement here over the last couple of months.
Yeah, and from where we were at to hearing those words again, like we heard in 2019, it's got to be just a huge boost for this organization. Now, again, like you said, got to slow down here just a little bit. We're all excited hearing Keith Law say those things, but he's got to go out there and prove it. He's pitching in the Arizona Fall League right now. This is not pitching against, the Dodgers lineup and Trey Turner and Corey Seager and Max Muncy. Like, he's still pitching against low-level talent. But the thing that is most important here is his mechanics, his command. And if those things are jumping off the page to guys like Keith Law, that right there is the most important thing. Competition, we'll worry about that later. But the little things that you need to do, and MacKenzie Gore, it seemed like it got away from him the last couple of years. Mechanics, location, not being a fastball location, making sure that his velocity was where it needed to be, and those were the things that he needed to work on. And if you listen back to more of the interview, he talked about one pitcher, Roy Halladay, when he was with the Blue Jays, and how the Blue Jays kind of did the exact same thing what the Padres are doing now to MacKenzie Gore. Not fully fixing his motion and his mechanics, but changing important things. And those take a while to get adapted to. If you're MacKenzie Gore, those things take a long time to feel comfortable pitching and being good at it, right? Like having results. And so it takes a while. And the Padres, while they have not been great at player development in the last 7 years with AJ Preller, with especially pitching prospects. Cal Quantrill went on, and now he's pitching really well. Eric Lauer went on to the Brewers, and he's pitching pretty well. But as far as pitchers coming up through the Padres organization, it's not been good. Like, it's been really bad. There hasn't been one pitching prospect that's come up through the Padres organization while AJ Preller's been here that has looked like a guy that can be in a rotation for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
and MacKenzie Gore.
I was going to say, especially with the Padres. I mean, some guys have developed, like you said, elsewhere, but especially with the Padres.
But if you can get MacKenzie Gore, a guy who everyone looked at as the one guy that's a can't miss, it's such a boost to this team and such a boost to this front office and everybody involved that helped draft MacKenzie Gore, because I feel like they could ill afford for him to be a complete bust, which it felt like it was going down that path for a little while there. But hearing those things from Keith Law, it looks like they turned the corner, which is the best news you could hear.
Yeah, hopefully. Now, I love the Roy Halladay comparison. He had a 10.64 in his third year in the big leagues as a 23-year-old. Okay. In 2000, he had a 10.64 in 19 games and 13 starts. 2 years later, 2002, All-Star. 3 years later, he's a Cy Young Award winner. We would all take that trajectory. And now Halladay would go on to have a Hall of Fame caliber career. Everyone would take that trajectory, but it isn't always linear in a straight line with pitching. It's not always that way with hitting, but certainly not with pitching. So he's 22 years of age. He could pay dividends at 25, and he could be beneficial for the Padres. Now, you want it to be in the window of now. You really want 2022, but you can't force it. If it's only 10 or 12 appearances in 2022 and you're better off for it in 2023 and 2024, you'd absolutely sign up for it because, like you said, there is no guarantee. There is still no guarantee that he is beneficial and impactful at the big league level. As crazy as that sounds, the guy that was written about in Baseball America as being like the Clayton Kershaw ceiling guy, there's no guarantee he's ever going to help anyone in the big leagues. And that's how life works. I mean, we don't know about health. We don't know about mental health. We don't know about between the ears. But from where we were this summer, which we were like, is this guy going to be impactful at the big leagues for the Padres? Is he going to be another one of these guys they're going to have to ship off and maybe he's going to have success elsewhere? Is he Quantrill? Is he Patino? Is he someone like that where he's not going to pay off here? And they can't afford that, to your point. You can't have your 7th overall pick, the promise of the top left-handed pitching prospect in baseball at one point, not work for you. That would be really damning for A.J. Preller in his front office. I don't think it would cost him his job, but it would just be another notch against him in these last handful of years. So, listen, if you get anything, I love the Halladay analogy because if it looks anything like that on the other side of it, anything like it, a couple of All-Stars, a couple of top 5 Cy Young finishes, I mean, we would take that right now in a heartbeat. And hopefully that's what's to come for Padres fans and MacKenzie Gore.
And AJ Preller needs a win here. He does. The front office needs a win. They've been dealing with too many losses. We've been critical, rightly so, of the moves that he's made that's not worked out in the last couple of years. The 7 years that he's been here has not produced a stable starting pitcher, like even one that has been with this team that he's drafted. So they need a win here desperately. And, I was like on the side of just pitch him now. And if he doesn't work out, get rid of him, like get some value for him. But I will have to take a step back here and realize they have to get this right. They have to get MacKenzie Gore right. If it takes a little longer, so be it. But if you get results at age 24, 25 in a couple years, it's worth it. But you have to get this one right. You cannot, again, afford to have a top pitching prospect in your organization either not succeed with your team or succeed somewhere else. That just can't happen. It just can't happen.
Well, it's a question here heading into 2022, and we'd love to hear from you. You can reply in the comments section below. Do you trust MacKenzie Gore? And when we say turn the corner, is he able to command pitches? Because that's been the issue the last 2 years. I mean, he's been all over the place. That wasn't the case in his first start in the AFL, the Arizona Fall League. Are you going to be trusting of MacKenzie Gore moving forward? And it sounds like there's at least a glimmer right now to believe that MacKenzie Gore can help this team as soon as 2022. All right, we want to hear from you. Again, you can reply in the comments section below. If you have not subscribed to the Wrap-Up Show in our brand new YouTube channel, you can do that right now. You see Jim, hit that button down below, hit the notification bell. Year-round Padres content. We have you covered on the managerial search. We've been all over that. We have a brand new playlist for that, by the way. So if you're watching this right now, you can switch over to our playlist on the managerial search. But if you're looking for year-round Padres content, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. You've been watching the Wrap-Up Show, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.